Yo people, welcome back to another video. Now today I'm going to tell you my theories behind the secrets of Mr. Miyagi, as I think this will be a huge reveal and it could connect to the new Karate Kid film, to Cobra Kai's origins, Miyagi-Do, Master Kim and more. I think the new Karate Kid film has already hinted at the fact Mr. Miyagi may have known Kung Fu and may have been one of the first people to use both Kung Fu and Karate. In my opinion, Mr. Miyagi learned Kung Fu when he visited China, hence the Chinese coins, and he either accomplished something great, like what I just mentioned about merging both styles, or did a feat so big that it went down in Kung Fu / fighting history in China, like defeating a top evil Kung Fu master or something like that, I don't know. But it would be to the point that it became folklore, to the point that Mr. Han and future generations heard about it. Now, why would Mr. Miyagi have randomly gone to China, you may be thinking? So I went back to Cobra Kai season 3 to when Daniel meets Chosen in Okinawa, and what we learn is that Daniel tells Chosen that the OG Miyagi, as in the discoverer of the Miyagi family karate, ended up being in China for 10 years, and when he came back to Okinawa, he had a Chinese wife and 2 kids and learned, quote, the secret of Miyagi family karate. So it implies that Miyagi karate has at least some inspiration from China. We know that the robbery Mr. Miyagi was involved in was in 1947, so I reckon he took off from the US and maybe went to China, or maybe he went somewhere else first then to China. 1947 is 2 years after World War II, which means this would be one of the times we have a reason to see evil Miyagi in his prime, the PTSD from the war, plus he lost his wife and his son. The man probably has nothing left. Maybe he tried doing something to try and get money, such as being a secret business partner of the boxing gym, but things didn't go well, hence things like the robbery happening. I can also give some reasons as to why Miyagi would be in this more strike first mentality of karate, with things like him being in the war. Maybe he's still stuck in that mind frame. Being a business partner of a boxing gym when boxing is primarily about striking first and being aggressive. The robbery in itself, a thief rarely is the one in a position of self-defense unless they fumbled their entire plan. And lastly, he killed someone at the Sekai Taikai. You don't kill someone by doing self-defense. I think at this point in his life, he is basically at the same stage as Kreese, thinking that life is about striking first, similar to the Cobra Kai way of thinking. So theory number 1 is as simple as Mr. Miyagi, he was in a dark phase, he was looking to gain more knowledge about the martial arts, he couldn't return back to Okinawa, obviously, as we know in Karate Kid 2, but what if he went to China instead to learn more about the origins of his family's karate, or just to learn about more karate in general? This is when he'd come across the art of Kung Fu and he'd start learning it. He maybe started building his rep in China as this amazing and ruthless fighter. Ultimately, what could have stopped him from this dark phase and made him snap out was killing someone at the Sekai Taikai. He became too powerful for his own good, and him causing someone to die is what woke him up and made him give up that search for power. This is maybe why he also didn't want to fight Sato in Karate Kid 2, because he was afraid he'd lose control and kill him. It would also explain as to why, when we see him in Karate Kid, he completely strips back everything he learned and only shows Daniel the Miyagi-Do defense, the kata, etc. What I did next was to Google Tang Soo Do Miyagi and see what would come up. Tang Soo Do, for those that don't know, is the fighting style that kind of inspires Cobra Kai's fighting style, apart from the whole no mercy mentality. And when I did that, this is what came up. Tang Soo Do and Miyagi-Do are both martial art styles that are similar in philosophy. Tang Soo Do is a Korean martial art that incorporates elements of Okinawan karate and Chinese Kung Fu. Miyagi-Do is an Okinawan style of karate that focuses on defense. Now, I need you to remember the Tang Soo Do part for what comes next. So we know that Master Kim is Korean and is the person we can trace back furthest with the Cobra Kai style of Tang Soo Do, since he was training the US soldiers. That leaves us with the Okinawan karate and Kung Fu elements yet to be connected, but we all know Mr. Miyagi could be the key. I think Mr. Miyagi and Master Kim had to have met at some point. I think it's unlikely that 2 great fighters like this didn't meet, especially with the reputations that they probably had at the time. So what if, before going to China, Mr. Miyagi went to South Korea in search of Master Kim? We know Kim is older than Miyagi and he is credited as being the originator of the Way of the Fist. What if Mr. Miyagi may have wanted to add this style to his arsenal, and to cut a long story short, what if Mr. Miyagi taught Master Kim his family's defensive Miyagi-Do style karate? But not only that, maybe he taught Master Kim some of those scroll techniques or some of those secret attack moves that are used to show no mercy that he probably used in the war. Maybe Miyagi during this villain era was the one who implemented the whole no mercy mentality into Master Kim's head. In return, Master Kim teaches Miyagi his karate, his offensive style that Miyagi would have wanted to add to his set. This would create a yin and yang and really solidify why these two characters are the most powerful, because they know both styles already. This would tick the box of Tang Soo Do having Okinawan elements as mentioned earlier, and would also explain how Miyagi knew how to combat aggressive / offense based karate, which is why he was untouchable in fights. But also it makes Daniel's All Valley wins in the Karate Kid much less luck based and more about how Miyagi masterminded Daniel's wins, especially in the first Karate Kid. So to continue theory 2, what if after the two learned from each other, they decided to keep learning and improving their fighting, they went to China, and this is when they came across Kung Fu. This would connect all three elements for Tang Soo Do and Master Kim's side, but more importantly it would connect everything for Mr Miyagi and also the new Karate Kid movie, where I think they'll say that Miyagi knew both Kung Fu and karate if they don't already say it in Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 3. What could have happened further down the line is that the two gained a massive reputation for being great fighters in tournaments. Maybe Miyagi was always seen as the better fighter amongst both of them, and maybe Kim was jealous. But what made Miyagi snap out of this whole world domination mindset was the fact that he would end up killing someone at the Sekai Taikai. This may have made Miyagi want to quit, stop his search for power, while Master Kim only wanted more and more, and he wanted to force Miyagi to carry on to continue fighting. This may have caused a fight between them, or for Miyagi to just flee in order to avoid any hostility and fights. Maybe this is when Miyagi moves back to America as a result. Maybe he felt bad about his search for power, and that is what caused the whole Miyagi didn't like tournaments thing, because he lost himself in the glory, which is something that maybe Master Kim may realize in present day with the death of Quan. This incident could also be why Mr Miyagi could have been hesitant to train Daniel at first, and the whole no such thing as bad student, only bad teacher could have referred to Miyagi feeling guilty about fueling Master Kim and influencing that aggressive no mercy lifestyle on him. He may view it as he corrupted Master Kim, helped create a dangerous enemy, while also giving up some of his family's karate in the process, which would get passed on to other Koreans and to the US soldiers that Kim would train, etc. And maybe Miyagi was scared that it would happen again through Daniel. For me, I think it would be very poetic for Mr Miyagi to be the one to have had some sort of influence on the Cobra Kai fighting style. It would give that sort of Anakin on Mortis feel and importance to Mr Miyagi, where he knows both the light and the dark side of karate, the yin and yang. It would also tie into why maybe Daniel allows Johnny to bring back Cobra Kai. Check out my theory videos down below in the description if you want to know more about that. Last but not least, theory number 3. Mr Miyagi goes to Asia after the robbery, maybe finds a way to enter some sort of tournaments and start building a reputation, which leads to more knowledge and power. Ultimately ends up at the Sekai Taikai. Maybe he crosses paths with Master Kim at the Sekai Taikai or at some point during this journey. Maybe they know of each other but they haven't met. Anyways, eventually Miyagi murders someone, but instead of going to China looking for power like in the other two theories, he wants to find peace in China. He wants to restart his ways, learn the roots of his family's karate, learn more kata, etc. In China, he would learn to rebuild himself, gain some knowledge and wisdom, leave the anger and hatred behind, get a more spiritual and peaceful perspective on how to really apply karate on a daily basis. Again, we could maybe use the monks as an example of how he got help. What he would gain as a result is he became well known in China, maybe as a teacher, maybe he helped Chinese people against evil, or just became a fighting legend in general, which is how Mr. Han ends up knowing about him. I think him getting help from the monks would also tie into how he helped Julie Pierce by visiting monks, as maybe he could relate to being young, having anger just like Julie Pierce had. One thing I will say in terms of Master Kim and the links is that yes, I know that Terry Silver obviously mentions Master Kim in Karate Kid 3, and Miyagi doesn't react. One thing is, if Miyagi reacted, it would have led to him having to tell Daniel, and ultimately it would have led to all of this coming out, which he didn't want happening, as we saw in the Miyagi dream sequence where he told Daniel, always eager to learn, but never willing to accept. Also, as I said in theory 3, maybe the two knew of each other when they were younger, but they just never spoke. They knew of each other's skills, what they've accomplished, all of that stuff, but they never spoke. But yeah, what theory do you guys most agree with? Do you think it's a mixture of all the theories, as in some stuff happened from some parts and other parts? Do you have your own theories? If you do, let me know down below in the comments as well. If you could also hit that like button, that would be massively appreciated, and sub to channel as well, as we are less than 100 away from 1k subscribers. Thank you for your time and have a great rest of your day.